Hi everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a book review as part of a book tour hosted by Colored Pages. I'm going to be talking about Lakelore by Anna-Marie McLemore. Thank you so much to Colored Pages and the publisher for an eARC of this book because, as y'all know, I'm a huge Anna-Marie McLemore stan. So when I saw that Colored Pages was going to do a book tour, I was like, I need to be there. This is my moment. This is my place. Let's go. So super thankful that I was able to participate in this book tour. Now, because I'm rusty and haven't really been filming videos lately, I'm going to be reading the book summary of this so that it is clear to y'all what this book is about, because if I try to use my puny tiny little brain to do that, it will simply not happen. It will not happen. So let's get into that. Two non-binary teens are pulled into a magical world under a lake, but can they keep their worlds above water intact? Everyone who lives near the lake knows the stories about the world underneath it, an ethereal landscape rumored to be half air, half water. But Bastian Silvano and Laura Garcia are the only ones who've been there. Bastian grew up both above the lake and in the otherworldly space beneath it. Lore's only seen the world under the lake once, but that one encounter changed their life and their fate. Then the lines between air and water begin to blur. The world under the lake drifts above the surface. If Bastian and Lore don't want it bringing their secrets to the surface with it, they have to stop it. And to do that, they have to work together. There's just one problem. Bastian and Lore haven't spoken in 7 years, and working together means trusting each other with the very things they're trying to hide. So I gave this book 3 stars. Overall, I think it's a solid novel. I think a lot of readers are going to resonate with this story, with its characters, with the experiences of these characters. And so even though it wasn't perfect for me, I still appreciate everything it was trying to do, and I still found a lot of things to enjoy about it. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what I liked about this book. So first and foremost, one of my favorite things about this book is the dialogue and just some of the internal monologue. There were so many moments where I was highlighting quotes because they were either hilarious or heartbreaking or poignant, or I just felt like I was learning about the characters through the dialogue or through the internal monologue in ways that I think were fantastic. So there were really moments where I felt like the dialogue and the internal monologue really did a wonderful job of getting me invested in the characters and in their experiences, their challenges, and the way they're trying to work through those challenges, both together and apart. Another of the reasons why I enjoyed the internal monologues was because they really expressed so beautifully and intricately the experiences of these two characters with ADHD and with dyslexia. So Bastian is our character who has ADHD, and they're really struggling trying to look functional, trying to not irritate people with their behavior and with the way that their mind really moves very quickly and doesn't always make sense to people. And so they're suppressing so much of what comes naturally to them that they are experiencing a lot of exhaustion and can't even realize that that's the root cause, that the root cause is that they're engaging in behaviors that are detrimental to their health and well-being, all for the sake of trying to appease others and to appear to others as, in essence, as unobtrusive and like not a problem, not a challenge to deal with, to work with. And we also have Lore, who is dyslexic and is trying very hard to present this image of themselves to their learning specialist that will make them basically look good on paper, because Laura knows that whatever the learning specialist gathers is information that will be sent to their new school, and because of previous experiences at their other school, they want to be perfect on paper. They've already had a lot of challenges being trans, being non-binary, being brown in their previous school, and they don't want that to carry over with the issues with dyslexia. So the two of them are really struggling with how to authentically be themselves and not feel bad for being authentically themselves. And an added layer to that for Lore is that they did something in their previous school that they are not proud of and that they think is wrong. And they're trying to hide all of that information because they think that if other people know, not only will it ruin the new life they're trying to create with their family, but it will also mean that the perception others have of them will be skewed negatively. And it was so heartbreaking seeing both of these teens really struggling and trying so hard to mask or present images of themselves that are perfect or consumable or more readily acceptable when it's costing them so much. It's taking so much from them to do that. And I just think that was really beautifully written through the internal monologues of these characters and the decisions they made and the thinking that led them to those decisions. And like literally so many of my notes while I was reading this book were all about how much my heart ached for these characters, because as neurodivergent teens, they deserved so much better. On Bastian's end, they deserved to be able to speak for their needs and not be scared that they would irritate the other person or exhaust their patience because they need the repetition so much because of their ADHD and a bunch of other factors. And then on Lore's end, my heart ached because they couldn't see how the decisions that they made sense and were logical, considering that they were speaking out, they were asking for help, and they were not being provided with that support that they needed. And so of course certain decisions were made that may not have been the right ones, but made sense at the time because of that exhaustion and that need for help that was not being satisfied. So what else can you do but kind of explode? So that in general was one of my favorite things about this, because it felt so real, so raw, and I just wanted to give Lore and Bastian the biggest hugs ever, because babies needed to be accepted with both all of their flaws and everything that made them beautiful and incredible. And tied to their experiences of ADHD and dyslexia is the major theme, I believe, of the novel, which is in essence that you have to embrace yourself, accept who you are, and not every day you will love who you are. Not every day you will feel like you are worthy, like you are incredible and amazing. But even on the days that you are not incredible, you are not amazing, that you're having a really, really rough time, you're still worthy of being loved, of being seen, of being accepted. And it's important to allow yourself to open up to others, to allow others to see both the beautiful things and the not so beautiful things, and embrace you completely and wholeheartedly. And of course, that's terrifying. It's terrifying when you're a teenager, and it's terrifying when you're an adult. I can certainly relate to that. It's very, very hard for me to open up to people sometimes. And at the same time, it's something that I find so fulfilling, opening myself up to others and exposing certain vulnerabilities when I feel comfortable is so relieving. It feels like taking in a deep breath and letting go of tension. And so I just loved that was one of the major threads of this novel, that you can't hide your past. You may not love your past. You may not love decisions you've made, experiences you've had, but they are a part of you, and you may struggle with them for a long time, maybe even the rest of your life. but that doesn't change the fact that you are still worthy of making connections with others and allowing others to see you for who you are and love you for who you are. So yeah, thematically, the dialogue, the internal monologues, the representation of non-binary experiences and neurodivergent experiences, all of that in this novel was very, very, very strong. My only two things that made it so I wasn't head over heels in love with this was that I was really struggling to picture the more magical realism elements of this novel. I don't completely think that's the fault of the writing, because I have been in kind of a major reading slump and just in general struggling with processing words. So I don't fully think that's my fault, but having read other books by this author, I was ready to be fully immersed in the magical realism elements, and that just personally didn't happen for me. And the other thing was the pacing. I thought the pacing of this was a little too fast, especially in the beginning when we're starting to be introduced to those magical realism elements. I just felt like it was throwing things at me and I was like, what is happening? Where am I? Who am I? And all of that. So I think those were the two major things that made me struggle with this novel a bit more. But again, I would still highly, highly recommend it. I continue to be an Anna-Marie McLemore stan. They are incredible. They are amazing. I'm still 100% looking forward to their new novels. I'm anxiously waiting the release of their Great Gatsby remix. Like, that is going to be iconic. I just feel it in my heart and soul. I feel it in my heart and soul that it's going to be amazing. So if you think at all that you could relate to these characters and their experiences, I would highly encourage you to pick this up, because I feel like it presents a very nuanced view both of what it means to be non-binary, because Laure and Bastien have both very different while simultaneously very similar experiences as non-binary teens. So I loved seeing the differences in their experiences, but at the same time, the ways that they really understood each other because they were both non-binary. So in that regard, really, really like that. And of course, as well, the ADHD representation and the dyslexic representation were also on point. So I really genuinely think that many readers will pick up this book and feel incredibly seen by these characters. So definitely go out there and pick it up. So yeah, that's it for this book review. I feel so rusty, so I hope it made any sense. I really haven't filmed in a while, so I'm feeling a little bit all over the place. I literally finished this book earlier this morning, so I'm like coming at you raw and fresh. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, I will have the links to that down below in the description. But for now, see you next time.